All right, so the time has come. I was surprised, but this is actually out now. Act 3 of the JediPraxis spoilers for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker have finally popped up. Originally, the plan was this weekend I was going to do a video on Kevin Feige's Star Wars, giving you my thoughts on it, as well as my review of Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. But I will still do those videos, but I'm going to postpone them until, I think, Sunday and Monday. That's the plan right now anyways, but for right now, I want to talk about The Rise of Skywalker Act 3. Now, I've already done videos on Act 1 and Act 2 from JediPraxis. I pointed out some of the discrepancies, things that I think may or may not be real, things that I think seemed a little shady, whether it be bad writing from JJ or this guy JediPraxis being full of it. I have already done videos on the first two acts of the film, the first two thirds of the film, so check those out before checking this out, but please be cautious that we are going to go into spoilers for The Rise of Skywalker. Whether or not they're real, I don't know yet. The authenticity is a bit in the air because there's a lot of weird stuff going on that doesn't really correlate to other stuff we've heard, but nonetheless, I'm going to cover it, and of course, in the comments, feel free to give your thoughts on these, whether or not you like the spoilers or whether or not you don't like them, and whether or not you think that this is legit or not. Again, it's a Reddit leak. These things can be real, they can be fake. We've seen both, all right? We've seen both. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Again, spoiler alert, we're going into the final third of The Rise of Skywalker, the end of the Skywalker saga. This is how it's going to end. Is like this. So again, if this is real or not, we'll find out soon. But I'll go into, like I've done in the last two videos. I'll go into what I think is real and what isn't. And again, this is Act 3. So if you haven't seen the first two acts, those videos will be linked at the end of this one. Also, just go to World of Geekdom, my channel, and they're there. Act 1 and Act 2. Here we go. Act 3, the end of The Rise of Skywalker. So we start on Ahch-To, the planet that Luke was on throughout for years, that Rey went to go see him at the end of Force Awakens. Here we go. Following her experience on the Death Star, Rey returns to the island of Ahch-To. Throughout the course of the film, she has given in to her aggression, nearly killed her friend by unleashing a stream of lightning on a ship, learned that she is a descendant of the Sith Lord who reduced the Jedi to numbers that they've yet to recover from, and even half a century later, saw a vision of herself as a servant of darkness and stabbed her enemy through the chest in anger. Well, I mean, you're fighting for your life too, but who knows? Her most recent encounter with Kylo was the last straw, and Rey has now made the decision to follow the example set by Luke and exile herself to the island where the Jedi began. So, you know, last episode or last video I did on this, the end of Act 2, it ends with her and Kylo fighting. She stabs Kylo in the chest, looking like she's going to kill him, but then she uses her Force powers to heal him, and then she leaves. He gets some kind of vision from Han Solo or something, sees a vision of Han Solo, and then he escapes. He survives and being reborn as Ben Solo, essentially. That's kind of that's sort of what I guess the symbolism there, that she killed him, brought him back to life, and now he's going to be Ben Solo, but it hasn't been entirely revealed as to what happens with his character. So, moving on, it says here, Rey scuttles the ship she stole from Kylo and throws the repaired lightsaber originally constructed by Anakin Skywalker in after it. A ghostly hand snatches the lightsaber out of thin air as it's being thrown. It's Luke Skywalker. So we have Ghost Luke making his first appearance in the movie here. Luke's conversation with Rey is said to be encouraging yet realistically grim in tone. Luke knows firsthand what it's like to face Palpatine, and that's not an easy task. Rey must confront Palpatine in the same way that Luke had to confront Vader. I get it. Confront your father. Luke encourages Rey by telling her of the faith Leia had in her. She saw the potential within her and hoped that Rey would be able to restore balance to the Force once more, just as Anakin once did. Oh, they're using that balance of the Force thing again. The definition of that seems to change. So, we have Luke Skywalker, who in the last movie exiled himself and didn't want any part of this war. And now in this movie, he's giving Rey the pep talk. So, Rey gave him the pep talk at one point. Well, really, it was Ghost Yoda. And now Ghost Luke is giving her the pep talk. And it's kind of funny that he's the one catching the lightsaber. So that's supposed to be the inverse of The Last Jedi. Again, it's one of those, yeah, Rian Johnson didn't really change anything. Yes, he did. He changed a lot of things. And this is kind of an example of it right here. So, moving on, Rey supposedly asks to speak to Leia at one point, but Luke responds by telling her that Leia has not yet completed her training and she cannot yet feel her distinctive consciousness within the Force. So basically, Leia has died, but she does not know how to become a ghost yet. That's essentially what Luke is telling her. Even though Anakin somehow figured it out, in a couple minutes, because he died and became a ghost when Luke was back on Endor, if you remember. By the end of their conversation, Rey is re-energized for the seemingly insurmountable task that lies ahead of her and agrees to leave the island. So Luke gives her the pep talk and succeeds. Having destroyed the ship she used to come to Ahch-To, Luke raises his own X-Wing, previously seen and submerged in the coves of the island, to allow Rey to face Palpatine. In addition to the starfighter, Luke gifts Rey with a lightsaber that once belonged to Leia. So, is this guy carrying the lightsaber as a ghost, or is the lightsaber like inside of Luke's like hut in Ahch-To? I want to believe it's inside Luke's hut in Ahch-To, because that would actually make sense. He's hiding it there somewhere. Never told Rey about it. So, yeah, he raises his own, which we wanted to see Luke raise his own X-Wing in Last Jedi and go fight Kylo, but instead we had that, out-of-body thing. So, anyways, let's see. In addition to the starfighter, okay, he tells her how Leia left her lightsaber with Luke when she stopped training, and Luke kept it on him. He then points Rey to where he kept it safe in the hut. Okay, so just answer my question there. Again, this is my first time reading this, so there you go. Rey boards the X-Wing armed with the coordinates of Palpatine's location obtained from Vader's Wayfinder and leaves the planet. So that's the entire thing, is they want to find Palpatine. Okay. Resistance Jungle Base. After returning to the Jungle Base, several things happen. After seeing the sacrifice made by 3PO, R2 reveals that he has a backup of 3PO's memories in his archives and is able to restore the droid to a mostly whole state. Well, that's good news. My sources believe his backup memory to have been created sometime around the time of The Force Awakens. It's an older 3PO, but it's better than no 3PO at all. Lando re-enters the story, having changed his mind, coming to the Jungle Base and wanting to help however he can. But at this time, Rey begins transmitting the coordinates to the unknown regions obtained from the Wayfinder to the Resistance. The Resistance mobilizes, readying themselves for the impending conflict. So the Resistance is going to go into the unknown regions to go fight Palpatine's Sith fleet. So we go to planet Exegol. That's where Kylo Ren found that giant cube and went underground in the Act 1. So Rey follows the coordinates found in the Wayfinder to the same spot Kylo did earlier in the film. Rey lands outside the giant cube floating above the ground and makes her way through the same underground passages. The cube, composed of black rock, floats several meters above the ground and is so massive that one corner cannot be seen in the frame when the camera's in another. As Rey travels down to the depths of the planet, giant Sith statues can be seen. Where Rey and Kylo's experiences begin to differ come in when Rey discovers Palpatine. Palpatine is not in the same chamber that Kylo discovered him in, but in a huge arena surrounded by Sith loyalists in dark cloaks in the grandstands. Palpatine is being supported by some kind of mechanical arm, possibly connecting him to the life support machinery. Again, this is stuff that was already leaked by Making Star Wars. And so that, again, it comes off like this Praxis guy just taking existing leaks and putting them together. That's what it sounds like to me. We'll find out when the trailer comes out very soon whether or not, what's really going on. So, Rey begins to confront Palpatine. During this conversation, Sidious reportedly confirms Rey's lineage and goads her on taking up a lightsaber to strike him down, much like how he encouraged Luke to do the same thing 30 years prior, telling her that only in killing him will she gain the power needed to save her friends. Palpatine also apparently makes statements alluding to the belief that Vader could not betray Luke due to their familial bond, and that same kind of bond will ultimately cause Rey to do what the Emperor wishes. So yeah, Emperor's whole thing was, it's the family thing. So you can't betray me because we're family. That's what Emperor's telling her. During his taunts, the sickly Sith opens the roof of the stadium chamber, revealing the sky above is filled with Star Destroyers, soon to be embroiled in conflict with their approaching Resistance. As the battle between the First Order Empire and the Resistance begins to wage in the skies above them, Rey gives in to the Emperor's commands and decides to strike him down. Through means that are still a bit foggy to me, Ben Solo was able to leave the wreckage of the Death Star and his former persona behind and travel to Exegol with the purpose of joining Rey to help her face down Sidious. Before leaving the Death Star wreckage, Ben abandoned Kylo's lightsaber, so now he's walking into a war zone with no weapon. When he arrives on the planet, he encounters the Knights of Ren, who are guarding the entrance to the arena where Rey and Sidious are. Okay, so the Knights of Ren finally do something here. Ben reportedly dispatches them using only the Force. Okay, that's cool. I'm cool with that. After doing this, he enters the arena as Rey is about to strike the Emperor using Leia's blade. Ben grabs Anakin's lightsaber and wants Rey to reconsider what she's about to do, not to kill the Emperor in anger. So how do you beat the guy then? Okay. Seeing Ben arrive pleases Sidious. He then, you misspelled Sidious, but that's okay. He then uses his power to bond them together and begins to siphon power from that bond and direct it into himself. As the power flows into him, the once silky and decrepit Palpatine stands tall and strong once again, restoring himself to a much younger, healthier state. This was reported by Making Star Wars as well recently, that Palpatine, when they're both in the same room, is able to suck out their energy and make himself look like how he did in Revenge of the Sith. So, and basically it's the Emperor that fought Yoda in Revenge of the Sith, not like the Senator Palpatine, you know, the nice guy with the smiles. Not him, not the one they saved at the beginning of the movie, the evil one. He looks more like that now. So it says here, the skies over Exegol. While all this is happening on the ground, much more explosive events are happening in the sky. The Resistance and the First Order are locked in battle. The details I have on what happens during this branch of the plot are a bit sparse at the moment, but here's what I've been told, which is code for I don't. Again, it just sounds like he's just making it up, but okay, we're gonna go with this. The Resistance arrives and they are confronted with hundreds of Palpatine Star Destroyers, Sith Star Destroyers. Their goal is to take out the flagship of the destroyers, where General Pryde is located. Taking out the flagship will supposedly sever communication with the rest of the fleet and prevent them from being able to navigate the perils of the unknown regions. Okay, they've done that before. That makes sense. That's Star Wars. At one point during the battle, Finn and Jaina, joined by others, but exactly who is not clear to me, land on Pryde's flagship to destroy it. They recognize this as essentially a suicide mission, but Finn and Jaina in particular see the price they have to pay as worth it to prevent more children from being abducted like they once were. One of my sources described it to me like a D-Day type mission for the Resistance where they attempt to land on the moving Star Destroyer amidst the battle scene. Having returned to full strength, Palpatine then shoots lightning into Ben, forcing him to fall into a bottomless abyss, never to be seen again. Which is sort of like what happened to Han. That's where they're getting that from. Sidious then shoots lightning into the sky at Resistance ships. Okay, again, that was reported by Making Star Wars again. He reportedly continues to make statements about how Rey will join him. In defiance of this, Rey grabs both Anakin and Leia's lightsabers, and Palpatine turns his wrath on her. It's lightsaber versus lightning at this point when it seems like all hope is lost for Rey. The specters of Luke and Leia come to her aid. So the ghost of Luke and Leia appear at the end as she's blocking it with the lightsaber. Now, again, what's interesting to me is the fact that she has to use the lightsabers to block the lightning. You would think that by now, since she knows how to use the lightning, and she's so OP, Mary Sue, she's so OP, why can't she just block lightning with her hands? So is Yoda still the only guy in the movie verse? And obviously not in the extra stuff, but in the movies, Yoda is the only guy who can block lightning with his hands. I'm okay with this, but you would think that she would know how to do it by now because they love Precious Little Rey, right? Somebody in my comment section wrote Precious Little Rey. I forgot who you were, but thank you. It was very funny. Anyways, so Luke and Leia jointly work toward overpowering the Emperor, deflecting his lightning back towards himself, killing him and unleashing an explosion powerful enough to make the arena start to crumble around them. I don't know if I like that. So Luke and Leia appear and they help push the lightning back to Palpatine, killing him. So Palpatine gets killed by Luke, Leia, and Rey. I mean, again, I guess I'm okay with like Luke and Leia appearing here, but the fact that ghosts are getting involved, there should have been a better reason for this. And then, according to what we're seeing here, he just lightnings Ben Solo and knocks him into the abyss, and that's it? Ben doesn't even get to fight Palpatine? Are you serious? That's the end of the movie? I'm sorry, I'm floored by this. And then if they could have at least given us a Ben Solo Palpatine fight. Plus, there's supposed to be wasn't there a report that Ben and Rey fought Palpatine at one point, 2-on-1? Was that fake? I don't know. Darth Sidious, last of the Sith Lords, is finally dead. At this same time, Finn and Jaina complete their mission and succeed in destroying Pryde's flagship. The two are prepared to go down with the ship, but are rescued last second by the Falcon. Rey escapes to the crumbling arena. Resistance Jungle Base. Having won the day, the survivors of the battle regroup at the Jungle Base and celebrate what follows apparently a celebration across the galaxy, once again mirroring what is seen at the end of Return of the Jedi. Okay, but here's the problem with this. There's an issue with this. How can there be a celebration in the galaxy if they don't know about Palpatine? Palpatine's been in hiding for years. Why are they celebrating the freedom of the galaxy? How did they know? There was no Death Star explosion. The battle took place in the unknown region. How did the galaxy know that the good guys won? Is there a scene missing here? Again, that's suspicious. So, Tatooine, of course. What a surprise. For the end of the film, the heroes then travel to where everything began, the desolate, sand-swept planet of Tatooine. Between defeating Sidious and at this moment, Rey has disassembled Anakin and Leia's lightsabers and used their components to construct a new one of her own that I'm told contains a golden/yellow blade. So this is not the end of Rey's story. I guess the next trilogy or whatever, we're going to get more Rey stuff. This is not the end of Rey, I'm telling you right now. Rey buries the leftover pieces beneath Tatooine sands at the site of Lars' homestead. As Rey turns to join Finn, Poe, Jaina, Chewie, R2, 3PO, BB-8, and Dio, a stranger calls out to her. The stranger apparently speaks of how nobody has been seen around this land for a very long time and asks Rey for her name. This is the second time in the film this question has been posed to her, but unlike her response on Pasana, Rey has decided who she is. She gives the name Rey Skywalker to the stranger, adopting the name of her masters and revealing the primary meaning of the title of the film. As Rey begins to rejoin her friends, she catches a glimpse of some familiar glowing figures watching over her. The assembly of heroes look off into the distance at the horizon desert planet and watch twin suns down the universe filled with hope. The end. I don't like it, bro. I'm just being real. I'm not trying to be negative. Look, I'm not trying to be a negative guy. You know, I'm not one of those like nutso Star Wars fans that hates on this, even though I don't like Last Jedi. I'm not one of those guys, but this is not good. No mention of Ben Solo at all. His mission was he gets redeemed, then gets killed by Palpatine. That just seems like Vader. I guess you did end up like Vader, brother. So I mean, there's that. Rey calls herself Rey Skywalker, and the movie's called The Rise of Skywalker. Again, Rey doesn't sell anything. Everything's so easy for her, and she even got help from the Ghost to help her win. I don't like that at all. No explanation of how Palpatine survived. Nothing. It just this and the space battle at the end. Like obviously, it hasn't been the CGI is not finished yet. We don't know how epic it's gonna be, but you know if that's it, like I was kind of hoping for maybe some like other entities to get involved for it to be a real giant battle, but it doesn't seem that giant at all. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm very disappointed by this. If this is what happens in the film, I'm disappointed, especially with the Rey thing. Like, haven't they learned that this character needs to freaking sell? Like, she needs to have some kind of, her being Palpatine's granddaughter does not like dissuade her from being, you know, unbeatable. Like, I know she's powerful and all, and they explain that, but that just seems, it seems so dumb and so shoehorned in. Like, I don't think this was the idea from the beginning, like JJ's trying to claim it is, but whatever. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I don't really know what to say. Let me know in the comments what you think. There's things I like about this, don't get me wrong, but if that's the end of the Skywalker saga where somebody not named Skywalker wins, it's a Palpatine that wins, and it's not even the evil Palpatine, that's, I don't know. I don't like it. I'm not a fan, but again, maybe the movie will be better. Maybe the way it's executed will actually be better. We'll see with the John Williams score, and maybe, who knows. But there's a lot of questions that I have. Nothing about Snoke at all. Not in these spoilers anyways. It could just be a throwaway line. I don't know. I just feel... And also the fact that Act 3, this act is so much shorter than the first two acts. I don't know. Something's not adding up. Anyways, thank you again. I hope you have a good one. And let me know in the comments what you think about Act 3 of the JediPraxis spoilers. I hope they're fake. I really do. Talk to you soon.